Hey guys, we wanted to give a shout out to some of the people we have met while recording the Nashville Dads podcast. On this episode, we wanted to highlight Brandon with Nashville Restaurant Radio. If you're interested in the Nashville food scene, this is the podcast for you. Brandon has some of the most influential people in the Nashville restaurant community on his show. So check it out. Follow him on Instagram at Nashville Restaurant Radio. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week, we have on record producer Mitch Dane. We talk about how he became a producer and his reflections on fatherhood now that he's an empty nester. We hope you enjoy. All right, here we are, another episode of the Nashville Dads. This episode's guest is Mitch Dane. Mitch, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mitch.
I got lucky enough to meet Mitch because when I bought Nashville Soccer Club tickets, Mitch bought the seats that are right next to mine. So
yeah, we're neighbors.
We are neighbors.
Soccer neighbors.
We might have actually.
You guys never knew each other before then?
Honestly, whenever you went to the game on Father's Day, like last year, you might have sat next to Mitch.
Oh, man.
So
okay.
That would have been the seat that would have been available.
That was a fun game.
Well, except that we lost.
It's a game.
It's still, it just be fun.
Just so positive. Just like, it was a good, positive experience.
Dude, I loved it. That was my first ever soccer game, and I had a blast.
I think you've gone to at least one or two more since, haven't you?
One more.
One more?
And I plan on taking, like, all of my managers.
But, like, you also went to the game where Hani got a hat trick, I'm pretty sure. You went to that Colorado game, didn't you?
I don't remember.
I think you did, because
I don't know much.
You were like, hey, man, are you at the game? And I was like, no, this is one of the only games I'm not going to this year. And Hani Mukhtar got a hat trick, and I wasn't there to see the first hat trick ever in Geodis. Now that I remembered it.
See, I don't know anything about
you
soccer.
You witnessed history, and I did not.
Yeah.
My wife's the soccer fan, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Sitting next to you guys, it looks like your wife is more the soccer fan, and you're just like, this is a fun time.
It's a fun time.
Yeah.
I like watching her get excited about scores.
That's so cute. But there was, Mitch and I have got to hang out a little bit from going to soccer games and sitting next to each other. And I remember us walking up like the hill like a year ago or something like that, talking and just asking you about your life and you being like a recording engineer, producing people. A lot of what your life has been whenever I moved to Nashville is what I'd hoped my life would be. So there's a lot of stuff that your life has been that I'm very like naturally fascinated by because recording people, the grind that it takes to record people and make a living out of it is like, man, if someone would have told me that whenever I was like 18 years old choosing a college, I might have like rethought what my goals were because it is a ton of work and a ton of sacrifice to be a recording engineer.
It is. And there's many parts of my life that will repulse you. I promise. But I enjoy it. It's a great career and I'm grateful that that's my job.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes with its hard days and challenges, but overall, it's pretty awesome.
I mean, so do you consider yourself, because I know you've personally made music, do you consider yourself a recording engineer? Because you have you have a studio, you've made your own music, you produce people. You won a Grammy, didn't you?
I did, yes.
So, I mean,
wow.
When you introduce yourself, do you just say, man, I'm Mitch? Or like, which accolade do you normally associate with yourself?
Which accolade?
Yeah.
What a question.
Most likely to not understand what's happening in a soccer game.
Yeah.
I think I have one accolade, maybe.
What is it?
Just the Grammy.
Just the Grammy?
But that's not how I,
yeah.
Obviously don't introduce myself that way. I think I'd rather be known as a friend, a guy to hang out with, and it's I think the older I get, the less identity I receive from what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And just the challenge of fortifying who I am outside of that is important for me.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I feel especially having a kid changes that as well. Of instead of identifying, for me, being a partner and an operations manager of a landscape company, that is not who I see myself as now. It's a father. I see myself as a father and a husband even more now.
Sure.
It's having that kid has totally changed. And I'm sure as you get older and more in depth in your kids' lives, that probably changes even more so.
Yes. Yes, it does. We're kind of in a unique spot where we're empty nesters now.
Okay.
So when I get to see my kids, it's a special kind of, hey, they're coming over to visit. Let's clean the house.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a, it's just a different. It's before it was, you're always thinking about how to be a good dad or a good parent, and now it's how do I love them in this stage of their life?
Mm-hmm.
Still being a good parent, but you know, most 20-somethings don't want to be fathered, even though they may need it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't call it that. You have to call it, hey, let's sit down and chat and grab coffee or grab lunch.
Yeah.
It's much more subtle.
Can't come on as strong.
Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
27 and 18.
Okay. Wow.
And your son just started at Belmont, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice. Is it still his freshman year?
Yep.
Nice. Is he living on campus?
He is. Tomorrow's his last day
Oh, okay.
Oh.
for his first semester, first year. He'll probably come back home next year for a semester
Okay.
because he's studying abroad the spring semester of 2024
Nice.
Wow. Where's he going?
to Glasgow, Scotland. So,
Man, I wish I would have done
Yeah.
me too. So it looks like we'll be going to Scotland at some point.
That's so unfortunate,
Yeah.
you know?
that. Have you ever been to Scotland?
No.
No. Yeah, me neither. But it seems like it's going to be a cool place. So have fun.
I'm anxious to go there, partly because when people
Yeah, right.
meet me and they hear my voice, sometimes they're like, "Are you from Scotland?" I'm like, "No, I just talk like this." So yeah,
Huh. I would have never have thought of that versus that in Scotland ever.
I think people just try to associate the different sound with an accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Seen too many movies, I guess.
Now I'm going to listen to your voice, imagining that it's actually Irish or Scottish.
Hey,
And yeah. You had to.
Scotland.
That's right. Did you start growing the beard before you got associated with Scotland, or was it after?
It was way before.
Way before. Nice.
I'm digging the beard. I wish I could get mine to look that nice.
The key is do nothing.
Do nothing. Man, okay.
No, there's no special creams or lotions or
You just
oils.
keep having a face and not shaving it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll try that.
Sometimes I wash it.
Sometimes. Every once in a
Sometimes.
while. Whenever your wife is like, you got a little too much food in there, you gotta clean it out a bit.
Gosh, when I smoke cigars occasionally,
Okay.
and when I get in the shower after a cigar, it's like, oh my gosh, all that smell is just kicked in there.
Just hanging out and hanging.
Delicious.
It sounds delicious.
What made you want to be a recording engineer or a producer? Like, what made you get started on that track?
It was kind of a weird turn of events. I had an accident when I was 14, and it was pretty severe. I couldn't speak for several years, like 2 years. I had a wire that was stretched across the trail, and I was clinically dead for a while. It was pretty crazy. But over the 7 years after that, of just multiple surgeries. I think it was 33 surgeries.
Wow.
My doctor, as my voice progressed, my doctor publicly said, it's a miracle that I can sing and speak. So I started getting all these calls from these different organizations saying, come tell us about your miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. I was like 18 at the time. And the need to record myself was pretty strong because people wanted to hear my songs. I wanted to take them with them. So I just learned how to do it myself. I was in a small town in Missouri, and the thought of being a record producer or an engineer was like like being an astronaut. It was like
Yeah.
just so far fetched. So I did it mostly out of need, and I got better at it as I went along, and finally got really good at it. So yeah,
Nice.
Where at in Missouri are you from?
small town near Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Cape Girardeau?
It's right on the river.
Okay. Yeah, I have family that live in Carthage, Joplin, and Branson.
Oh yeah, that's on the
Other side.
western side. Yeah.
Awesome.
What would you record to? Like, did you just record on like tapes? Like, what were you?
At first it was tape.
Okay.
I had a cassette, 8-track. Then I eventually got a reel-to-reel. And then when MIDI started becoming a thing, I could record all my electronic instruments on MIDI and then take them into a real studio, press play, and play my guitar to them. And
Yeah.
so I'd have everything mapped out and just use the studio just for my vocals and guitar.
What? Where would you record at? Like, what recording studios were near you? Or where was the closest city with one? I guess is what I'm asking.
Cape Girardeau.
Okay, there's one there. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I eventually started buying my own stuff and
Yeah, that makes sense.
making my own recordings. But once I got to Nashville, I remember I bought it's called an MPC 60. It's a music production center.
Okay.
And it was like all the cool people had them producing. And I thought, wow, it was really cool piece of gear. But it allowed me to do a lot of cool editing and looping and making my own beats and stuff. So that's kind of where I learned how to produce.
Cool.
What made you move to Nashville as opposed to like L.A. or New York or?
Again, nothing I planned. I got a job offer in Hollywood, Florida, to do music scoring for these videos. I was like, yeah, I can do that. Just making music for background music. And I accepted the job, dropped out of school, quit my job I had in Missouri, started driving to Florida. And I literally stopped on I-40 where White Castle is.
Yeah.
They used to have a payphone out there. It's back before cell phones. And I called this guy. It's like, where should I land in Hollywood, Florida? He's like, yeah, that job fell through. So I was stuck in Nashville, and my pride wouldn't let me go back home. So
Yeah.
I stayed here. I had a friend who had a couch, and called him up and was like, hey, can I stay for a couple days? And it ended up being several months. But
Wow, what a great story.
It's fun.
But actually, I ended up loving Nashville so much. I love the parks, the greenways.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, it wasn't quite as big of a city.
Mm-hmm.
But compared to my small town, it was huge.
Would that have been like the late 80s that you were doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even the 15 years that I've been here is completely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had an apartment off of General Jackson in Cool Springs. In my front yard, as far as you could see, it was just fields.
Yeah.
Now it's the mall and
Now it's the mall. Now it's Galleria.
Carruthers and all
Yeah.
that crazy stuff.
Did you ever expect to make as much of, I mean, because you've been here for like 35 years now, right?
33.
33?
33, yeah. I think.
Did you ever expect to make this much of your, like, to make Nashville this much of your identity and this much of your life?
Not at first.
Not at first, yeah.
But, once you start making friends and like, this is a great place to live. I don't know where else I'd want to live.
Yeah.
So now it's too expensive to move here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful I got in when I did. But yeah, again, being raised in a town where most people were either farmers or mechanics. My dad was a mechanic. And the thought of doing what I'm doing now just feels a little crazy and I'm honored.
Yeah.
And like my 14-year-old self would be like freaking out right now.
Yeah.
And I have to keep remembering that. Even when it gets, to be tough and challenging at work. I'm very grateful.
And what does your son do? Or what is he going to school for?
He's going to school for mathematics and computer science.
I was wondering if he was going to follow in your footsteps or...
No, that's my daughter.
Your daughter,
really?
okay.
Cool.
My daughter's a great fiddle player. And, she's played on several records I've worked on, and among other people's records. Great writer. She writes great melodies. But I'm not sure what my son's going to do. He's minoring in computer science and Japanese.
Okay.
So
I didn't even know Belmont offered those as minors.
it's crazy what they offer.
Yes.
So he's definitely an oddity there. But he actually does play piano,
Okay.
just for fun. That's just
Yeah.
kind of a release. So yeah, he's really good at it too.
Was it like, how did your kids get into playing music? Were you like, oh man, let's play music? Or was it like they just came to the studio and watched you recording people? How did they get an interest in music or even playing it at all?
I made a pact with myself that I wouldn't push them into music at all. In fact, when I was 7, I was dabbling with piano, and my parents sent me to piano lessons, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped out of lessons for years. Just lost interest and slowly picked it back up. And I thought, if they're going to do it, then you just need to own it.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them kind of did it on their own and picked it up. My daughter started playing violin in middle school at the orchestra and at Croft Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
And to traverse over to fiddle from violin is relatively easy if you like bluegrass,
Okay, yeah.
which she does. And she just really picked it up fast.
That is cool.
And she never had the, you hear of the aching practice days where they're just screeching and you're holding your ears.
What is dying in the next
Yes.
room?
Yeah, she never had that. It was
That's really cool.
from day one. I was like, oh, I know that melody.
Yeah,
And she has the knack.
that's cool.
Really proud of both of them.
Yeah. Now, I still remember getting my first, off-brand Stratocaster, whatever, and being like, is this even in tune? Because every note I touch is not the correct note.
I feel sorry for my parents just listening to hours of loud amplifiers and
Basically.
synthesizers blasting the speakers.
I can only imagine. And when we have my dad on, you'll have to bring this up, but my dad played the accordion.
That's really hard
So
to play.
he had to go to practice. He had to lug it onto public transit bus,
Yeah.
go to his class, and then come back.
They are
But
heavy,
yeah,
and they are hard to play.
oh yeah, but he hated it as well. And when he had to play in big groups, a lot of times he would just fake play and not even be doing any notes, as long as he was standing behind
That's awesome.
somebody. But yeah, that had to be horrible for my grandparents to hear.
I bet.
My mom had a friend who specifically chose to play cello in high school because she couldn't take it on the school bus. So her parents would have to come pick her up from school. So that was her way to get out of having to ride the bus every day. Oh my God.
Man, crafty little girl.
Yeah, I'm sure my kids will do something equally as mischievous. But
Of course.
yeah, she was like, oh yeah, Ann did this. And I was like, Ann would do that. Respect, Ann. Good job.
Oh man, yeah. My dad could play music. My mom couldn't. My sister could play the piano and the flute, I think is what it was. And I have zero music ability.
We've got a high music appreciation. So,
Yes,
so
I
that's
do.
okay.
I love all music.
Yeah.
But I can't sing. I cannot play any type of music instrument whatsoever.
There's auto-tune. You'll be okay.
My brain cannot comprehend trying to read music.
It's fascinating how the genetics work with music. Like, none of my family was into music.
Yeah.
I think I had a distant cousin or uncle that was pretty proficient, but like, how does it just land?
I don't know. I just know I like sad songs a lot growing up and wanted to learn how to play them on guitar. So that's mostly how I got into music.
Yeah, that is a good question to ask and to think about.
Well, I mean, I guess
I have no idea
how I also got in. Like, some of it I think is hopefully supportive of your parents. Like, how did I learn about sad music? My mom would listen to a lot of Linda Ronstadt at home, which has a lot of ballads. So I'd already be into like, oh, this is sad, and I feel a lot of things. Yeah. And then they'd be like, oh, do you want to play? Like, I think it was like a family friend who had an old guitar, and like, do you want to learn how to play? And I was like, sure, why not? And then whenever I was like, can I do lessons? They're like, yeah, sure, you can do lessons. So there's some atmosphere of it also, like. So I completely understand not wanting to tell your kids to play music, but to be like, hey, if you want to do this, I will have as many conversations as you want.
Absolutely.
And I will talk your ear off.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So now I'm curious, do you play guitar still?
I do, yeah. I mostly play a Taylor acoustic, and I have a semi-hollow body Telecaster that I'm in love with, and I love semi-hollow bodies a lot. But no, it's mostly the acoustic that I play, because being in a house with like 3 kids and my wife working from home, plugging into an electric amp doesn't happen too much. I'm like an orphanage of musical instruments. If you have one and you don't want it anymore, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So like I had an accordion at one point in time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. My mom was like, do you want an accordion? And I was like, I don't not want an accordion. I feel like I have a harmonica set sitting around somewhere. I know like basic chords on a ukulele and mandolin. So like, I think one time a friend was getting married and he was like, you own a mandolin, right? And I was like, yeah. Do you want to play my wife down the aisle? Sure. Let's do that. So,
oh my gosh.
So an instrument that I knew like 4 chords on, I played his wife down the aisle and just didn't, I faked it well enough that it worked.
On the most important day. Oh my word.
I'm surprised they didn't say, hey,
man.
Can you show us?
There were other people playing also. And they're like, I bet he can do it if he said he can do it. And then I like got up there and I was like, what did you just agree to, Evan? This is some straight up mid-20s arrogance, right?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Do you write?
No, anytime I usually play guitar and mimic what other people play to have a better understanding of how good they are at their instruments. Anytime I try to write something myself, I get too inside my own head. Sure. And it's no longer a fun expression. Yeah. It is more I more am aware of what I'm not as opposed to what I'm trying to express.
Sure.
So, no, I've never, like, I can...
But you created the ballad for our...
Yeah, I wrote, like, our intro and outro music and stuff like that, but there's no words to it. And,
but
like,
still, that's pretty cool. It came from you.
But my standards are high. Thank you for your compliment. So...
But not... I'm still imagining you playing for... the wedding.
Just, just like sitting there being like, yeah, man, let's see how this goes.
My standards are high, but I'll play for you.
But wedding. I'll try it, But that was different for some reason in my head, Sure. Where that's because I had 2 guys with me to help me figure it out. And if I messed up, like, it'd carry me through it. Or if, like, right now you're like, hey, man, write me a song on guitar, I'd be like, on my own? So speaking of making music, though, one thing, since I did want to be a producer whenever I was younger and kind of produce this podcast, I guess, I think one of the beautiful things about production stuff is you take someone's like idea and their rawness basically, and you help them turn into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to parenting a lot. Mm-hmm. Right? Do you feel like you've used any of the skills you have as a producer with your children in any way like that?
That's a great segue, by the way. You're welcome. You're very experienced and astute. No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah.
I would hate to think that I produce my children.
No, yeah.
There's a different level of care and intentionality. I mean, production takes care and intentionality, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And when you're making a record, it's the song and the production that gets the last word. Like they have that has to be great. You're striving for excellence. But with your kids, it's their heart that comes first.
Yeah.
Over anything.
Yeah.
It's like I can't discipline them with shame. I can't do anything that's going to close them down. Mm-hmm. like you, so you're constantly trying to figure out, how do I get my point across without shutting them down? Because this might be my moment.
Yeah.
Or I can lose it. I could fail miserably, which I have. Or this could be a moment that they'll remember for the rest of their life in a good way.
Yeah. At what age did that start to click with you? Because, like, my oldest, Holly, is starting to get to the point where she remembers stuff I tell her, and I can tell she has memories now. I feel like there's a certain age in which you're like, oh, man, I need to be more in tune with what I'm saying and what my tone of voice is, because this kid is paying attention to everything I'm doing. Do you feel like there's an age with your kids where you started to, like, reassess that element of it, of realizing what moments were in front of you?
Yes. However, now there's science to back up that they're receiving all that from day one.
Yeah, no, there definitely is.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
So you're asking how many years I failed before I...
Basically, yeah. When did you finally start to realize the damage you were doing?
Yeah, I get it.
That's the question I ask myself daily.
Yeah, so true. I think once they start having facial expressions,
Okay.
for me, I could see them reacting positively or negatively, and I'm just realizing, wow, I have power over this person, and that's scary.
Yeah.
What a responsibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's when I started just being more intentional about that.
It stinks, though, because even though you can see your kid reacting facially to what you do, you still don't stop doing what you're doing sometimes. That's what's really hard.
Yeah.
Catch yourself and you're like, and she's staring right at you and like, you're soaking this up, aren't you?
Yep. And I need to be a better person. And today I'm not.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts in my head again.
Yeah.
About where I messed up, where I could have done better. At some point, you just have to, obviously do your best and pray that they turn out okay.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about kids because I've seen some amazing people come from the worst families where they were abused, they were talked down to, but somehow they blossomed through that. And it obviously affected them, but it's almost as if it didn't.
Yeah.
And then I see parents who do a great job that their kids are just...
Punks.
Not what you did expect. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think what I do matters, but again, I just have to do the best I can and what I think is best at the time, in the moment.
Kind of goes back to the nature versus nurture with
Oh, yeah.
with that. Yeah.
I mean, with both of our kids, I've had to apologize, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
I didn't handle that right. Can you forgive me?
That's the hardest thing to do, though,
It is hard.
to admit that you're wrong and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
I've had to do that many of times.
It does. I do notice it. Like my parents parent that way also, where they're like more than they will admit that there are things they should have done differently and are more than happy to discuss it. To me, more than the apology is I want to make sure to be able to have a conversation with my kids about it so I can understand them better.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times I can use sorry as an escape valve. Just be like, but I said I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. And it's like, nah, man, you also got to be willing to understand how what you did hurt them and made them not feel the way you wanted them to feel and what damage you did, and then say you're sorry. But if you aren't willing to listen to what hurt you might have actually inflicted, then your sorry only means so much.
Yep.
And that is like next level, like discomfort. So-
It is. I mean, it's vulnerability. What the beautiful thing about being vulnerable with your kids is that it's not only good for me to just be honest, but it's good for them because you're modeling that for them.
Yeah.
And I'd hope, even today, my son confided in me with some things. I'm like, way to go, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm proud that whatever happened with us from day one, in this moment, you're able to come to me and admit where you're weak or whatever it was. And so, yeah, I know I'm a big fan of Brene Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
and just vulnerability and just being weak in front of your kids.
Yeah.
It's not hard for me. I'm weak in front of everyone.
You have a very time-consuming job. For me, that seems to be, like, in my job, that seems to be the hardest thing to do, is to delineate and separate my time, work with family. I mean, how did you handle that? And how do you still handle that?
Well, it started when I had a studio in our house in Bellevue. It was a converted garage. And it was when we first had our daughter. And she would want to be down there with me all the time, and I could not concentrate.
Yeah.
As much as I love her, I couldn't focus. So I had to pull my studio out of the house. The temptation with that is just to be at the studio forever. Never come home. So I don't know if it wasn't by my wife's request, but it was more out of, I could tell she needed this and my family needed this, that I had to put a boundary around my work. So I just picked up banker hours and said, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, I'll be home for dinner. And I would say 98% of the time, I was good with that. But when I wasn't, I would make sure that I would call first and be like,
Yeah.
I got in the weeds. And my wife was so gracious. She was like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. We got this. Because she knew that wasn't the norm.
Yeah. As long as you're not making it a norm,
Yeah.
like, those times probably are okay. Yeah.
I will say that decision to make those boundaries has affected my career negatively. At least I think. You never can tell, really.
No.
Yeah.
But I've had to say no to some pretty high-profile people that wanted me to work with them. And they would tell me the hours, like, we start at 2 in the afternoon and work till whenever. And I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And twice I had a really high-profile artist call me up. And literally both times he called me, I was loading the car to go on vacation.
Oh, man.
He's like, can you work this weekend? We got this huge song coming out. I'm like, I can't do it.
Good for you, man.
Yes, I'm proud of those decisions. But again, to your first point, whether this makes it in the podcast or not,
Yeah.
my identity is not tied to what I do.
Yeah.
So I feel good about making those decisions.
I think my knowledge of music business and production stuff is you never know. There's a very big sense of like, what if this was the moment in front of you? Because you can't, whenever you're recording a song, writing a song, you can only control how you write the song and what you put into it. You can't control what anyone will do with it at all. So if you have a high profile artist and they're like, I want you to work on me, it takes so much. You have to have a really hard barrier to say no to them, because who knows what other doors that could open for you.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, like, you're saying no to potential, basically. And your job is based off of how well you work with people and how much you make people feel comfortable and how much they more or less like your style. So if you start saying no to people, you're limiting the opportunity for people to know you and what you can do for them.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
it's really hard. I'm glad you set that boundary for yourself.
Yeah.
But I know probably as you said it, you're like, all right, here we go, man.
There's a caveat to this, because I was doing this in a time in our history when I wasn't being employed by a label or a studio. I was basically being employed by the artists.
Yeah.
So if I was an engineer at Blackbird,
Yeah.
which is a great studio, I wouldn't have the freedom to just say, I'm not coming in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I have compassion for those engineers who are in the trenches of that. And same for folks who are on the road. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate to be in a place where I'm producing, so I'm basically setting the schedule. So I can tell the artist, hey, be here at 9:30 in the morning. We'll be creative at 9:30.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's do it. 9:30, we're doing it. One fun fringe benefit of stopping at 6 o'clock is I've never had an artist tell me that they didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because they go home, they have dinner, the songs are earworms in their heads. They're thinking they may write some ideas down. It gives them time to incubate.
Yeah.
And me too. I'm taking a shower and I'm like singing the songs like,
Yeah.
hey, I wonder if we should try this on the bridge. Come back the next morning and try it. Where if you're constantly working, you're not affording yourself those opportunities to let it sink in.
Yeah.
So it's worked for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe not for everyone, but it works for me.
Since you do produce music, what makes you keep doing it? If you've had to set boundaries and barriers for yourself to not be overworked and to prioritize your family, what makes you like? What do you like about being a producer? What do you like about that, about your job, basically?
What I like about it is I feel like I'm gifted in it. And whenever you can stretch that muscle of something you're good at, it's just really rewarding. It's also a very easy career for me to manage because, I'm my own boss. But to get into some of the details of it, I love helping an artist take a song from being a good song that they've written in their bedroom. Like, let's see how we can make this come alive. What's the most fully realized version of this song we can make? And throwing things at the wall. And I tell people, I have thousands of ideas, and some of them are good. And some of them are horrible. Most of them are horrible. But we can't get to the good stuff until we get through some stupid ideas. So let's do it together.
Yeah.
So it's collaborative. And so pre-production, which I actually call writing, how to make the song better, just as a song, arranging. That day's great. Those days are fun for me. But also the tracking days.
Yeah.
Let's bring in the band. I have several guys that I just love, and they love working with me, and they know how I work. They know what it means when I say, hey, can we make this a little more blue? And they're like, yeah, I know what you mean. So today was one of those days.
Yeah.
We tracked today, and we did 3 songs, and towards the end of the day, we, break out the bourbon and have a sip and tell stories. And
Yeah.
I mean, to call that my job,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. When I'm working with an artist that tends to be a little more spiritual, I'm like, can we just pray that and thank God that this is our job for today?
Yeah.
Man, we get to play. And
Yeah.
And so that's it. To answer your question, why I do this, that's half of it. The other half is I can't do anything else.
You're stuck.
I'm stuck. I have no other skills at all in my life. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know you mostly have worked with like Christian artists. Was it intentional to work with Christian artists, or did it just happen that that's who you ended up working with?
It just kind of happened that way.
Cool.
I definitely don't have a rule or anything.
Yeah.
I get the life of a Christian artist and what they're trying to say.
Which helps.
But most of my favorite artists aren't Christian artists. And I don't even listen to Christian music.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So maybe that's why I get asked a lot, because what I consistently produce is not sounding like Christian music.
No.
Which some people are turned off by that. Some people like it. And I definitely have a niche.
Need to Breathe, kind of. That's my favorite band.
Is it?
But they don't necessarily sound Christian
No.
in any of their songs. But they are.
I feel like the people who you've recorded, it's like you've taken singer-songwriters who write through a Christian lens, and you make them sound more like singer-songwriters than like Christian music.
Yeah.
If that distinguishing characteristic makes sense.
It does, very much so. There's a band I worked with quite a bit called Jars of Clay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that they used to say and practice is they're writing and performing songs that are written through their faith, not about their faith.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference there.
Yep.
Because you could write a love song if through the lens of their faith. You could write a song about your car breaking down. If it's all tied together.
Yeah.
And my personal views on Christian music is it's all been said before. So it's hard to write new material on using the same Christian words. So it's fun for me to try to write a song that doesn't use any Christian words.
Yeah.
Let's figure out a way to say it to the common person.
Yeah.
And that's a fun challenge for me.
That is.
So is Jars of Clay one of your favorite, most exciting groups that you've worked with, or?
Yeah, by far. They're extremely talented and they're nice guys. In fact, a couple of them are still my best friends. And
Cool.
That's not to negate any of the other amazing artists I've worked with that I love to death. So, but they're definitely one of the tops.
I think sometimes you just gel with a person.
Yeah.
And if it happens that you also get to record them at the same time, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, your job, you get to meet probably so many cool people. Interesting people that you never would have ever thought in your life that you would have met.
Yeah. And for some reason, I end up working with a lot of females.
Yeah.
And to bring them in and say, okay, I know you've hired me because you think I'm some big producer, but you actually have the loudest voice in the room.
Cool.
So, and you're paying for it. So you have to be happy. So just empowering them that way, seeing them light up and just start expressing themselves in ways that they would normally not be comfortable, which is really beautiful to watch and experience.
That's cute. To drinking.
Yep.
It's a beer. You just said cute. I'm not drinking beer.
Cute. I say the word cute a lot because I have little kids, and apparently that's what I say all the time. So
How old are your kids?
they are 7 and 5 and 20 months.
Gosh.
So 2 girls and a son. So Holly was with me at the game on Saturday. She's my oldest. And then I think we've brought Josh to one other game in those seats. And Magnolia is just a fidget box. So she can't sit still to save her life. So she lasts about 20 minutes at a game. And then I'm like, yeah, you're 5. What am I like? I'm the one with the wrong expectations here, not you.
Oh my gosh. The thing I miss most about those ages are just the cuddles,
Yeah.
hugs.
Yeah.
And once your kids are out of the house and you don't have a child with you, you can't ask a child for a hug.
No.
It's kind of weird.
Gives off this energy you didn't anticipate.
I see these little kids running around. I'm like, oh, I just want a hug from you.
Yeah.
No. Keep my mouth shut.
I have a friend who, because if you like meet a new baby or anything like that, they always go up to your wife and you're like, do you want to hold the baby? And you're like, I also enjoy holding children. And he would always have to like, not forcefully, but be like, hey, I also care about your child, would not mind holding them and saying, what a cute baby. And they're like, oh, really? And it's like, it's weird that this is like a gender stereotype that I have to overcome, but here we are.
Yeah. There are a lot of stereotypes. Like, I think I was really great at changing diapers.
Yeah.
Like, I was fast,
Efficient.
almost one-handed. I could do it.
Wow.
Not quite. but yeah, I think dads get a bad rap of being the guy that just sits in front of the couch and in
Drinks
front
a beer.
of the TV and on the couch and drinks beer.
I mean, that's not bad, right?
Justin's like, I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Dang it.
No, I think it's so funny. Josh is, 20 months old, and to change his diaper, I've never had to like hog tie a pig or anything like that. But whenever he has a poopy diaper, that's what I feel like I'm basically doing is
man.
my left hand, which I'm a pretty tall person, so my hands are pretty big. My left hand is somehow holding both of his feet, leaning him backwards, holding his hands at the same time, while the other hand is desperately searching for wipes in the diaper at the same time.
Absolutely.
Before he grabs a handful of poop. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But also at the same time, I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Like, I'd rather be doing that than have my wife do that.
Yeah.
So,
It's an easy way to serve.
Yeah.
it is actually, yeah.
It was crazy. 2 months ago or so, I'm getting Ada up out of bed, changing her diaper, changing her in her clothes, and Haley's mom and stepdad were staying the weekend with us, and she just looked and she was like, "It's nice that you actually would do something like that."
Yeah.
So I hearing that, I'm like, wow, that's just a normal thing, or at least it should be a normal
I
thing.
just wanted to be helpful.
Yeah. But some people don't think dads do that kind of stuff at all. I don't know. Bad rap.
Yeah.
But people can change. People can change their minds.
Yeah. And also, hopefully, when you go through your day, you can just look up and be like, oh, this is the way I view things in terms of mental space a lot. And since my wife is a full-time working mother, like her mental space is very full at all times. So my hope is every single day that I'm somehow making her mental space a little bit more available.
Sure.
And some days I feel like I'm good at it. Some days not so much. And you just hope to be better the next day.
But at least you try.
At least.
Yep.
At least I'm aware.
Yeah.
You know?
Trying is half the battle.
It is.
Yeah. How many times do we succeed as dads? Like, it's mostly just trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'll try. Like, I can wash the dishes. I can accomplish that and succeed. But when it comes to, like, the inner workings of a child's psyche,
Yeah.
I just try my best.
Yep.
I'm a believer that you don't get to determine if you're a good dad or not. You can just hope that your kids consider you a good dad. And that's about it. Because if you go into a situation being like, I'm a good dad, here's what I'm going to do. Oh, man, that ego is really, really big right now. So you're going to fail, whatever you're doing. So just remind yourself, I'm doing my best to be what I think a good dad would do. And what are you doing? I'm paying for the therapy later whenever I was not. But Mitch, I appreciate that you view fatherhood as I also view fatherhood as that way of like, all right, man, today I did a decent job. What about tomorrow? Hopefully I do a decent job as well. And just never to get too high on your own self, because you will you'll have multiple examples of times where you did it right and whenever you should have probably done something different. So I appreciate you being willing to say, and like, I shouldn't even consider that vulnerability that you're willing to say that, but I guess that is considered vulnerability to admit that you didn't do things the best way that could have been done.
Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah. I guess it's a vulnerability. It shouldn't ever be a given that you're the best dad ever. Like,
Yeah.
and your kids know it. They're going to either call you out on it someday or just agree with you. I'd rather them agree with me.
Yeah.
That's
Right there with you.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's things I might be called out on still, but I hope I've taught them how to have grace in their confrontation.
Yep.
I think they know that I'll receive it.
Yeah. We'll find out.
Yeah, golly.
Well, one question. I think you are our first guest that have like actual grown
Yeah, you're the first
adults
empty nester.
as children.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you probably have the best insight onto this. Girl versus boy. What was the hardest to take care of, to manage?
That's
Some people say
Yeah.
it's a boy at the very beginning or a girl at the very beginning, and then it switches. But I mean, you've got the best of both worlds right there.
my kids are unique because they were both very easy. But I can answer this from my kids' friends and the perspective of when they'd have friends over.
Yeah.
And it's true that when you get girls together, little girls, they're like picking flower petals or making macaroni things. And boys are literally like wildcats.
They really are, though.
And my kids might be calm and docile when they're not around, but as soon as you get two boys in a room, they're
Something's broken.
bouncing off the walls. Something's broken.
That's hilarious.
It's Josh throws stuff. Like, he's like 20 months old. He just like this dinner tonight. He had like an applesauce cup, and when he was done with it, he just threw it on the ground. And I'm like, You're
not supposed to laugh at that.
You aren't supposed to laugh at it.
But
and
it
to
is
tell
pretty
your
funny.
two older daughters to not laugh at it because you're just encouraging him is
Yeah.
a very hard thing to do with a straight face. But yeah, I feel like sometimes you're like, okay, behaviors are learned because you watch someone else do it. Josh, who are you watching that finishes food and just throws it on the ground? Like, how is this just instinctually inside of you to just throw stuff?
Must be some king. He's watching some
That's
movie
it.
with a king.
That's how
I am done.
More beer. Yeah, just. But so far, I agree. My son seems to be very chaotic and very like climbs on literally everything. And both my girls at his age didn't do any of that.
Yeah. There's something about a guy, a boy's spirit that just needs to express themselves loudly and wildly.
Part of me hopes that if we do have another kid, it is boy.
Yeah,
So I can
of course.
experience that.
The insanity that is. What's the age difference between your kids?
9 years.
9 years. What? How? I mean, like, I feel like by that time you're like, I'm already out of diapers. This kid's already grown.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is we had a built-in babysitter. By the time she was, 13 or 14.
Yes.
Like,
Hey, guess what?
we're going to get some coffee. I think both my wife and I are pretty career-minded.
Okay.
And we just weren't thinking, let's plan to have a family and
Sure.
have it this way. Both of them were somewhat accidents,
I gotcha.
but accidents sound so negative. They're
Plus-
surprises.
Pleasant
Yeah.
surprises is what my
Gifts.
mom always calls me.
Yes. Yeah.
Gifts drop down the chimney.
Yeah.
Because you're what, like,
Because I was, I'm 7 years younger than my sister, and I was a pleasant surprise, where what my sister says an accident.
just like an older sister would.
Yeah. But my dad was 39, I think, when he had me.
Yeah.
So they were not planning on having any
Yeah.
other kids at that point. But, oh well.
Oh, well. You're glad
But my sister
you're
did
very
not
glad they did
watch-
have another kid.
My sister did not watch me, though.
No.
She didn't want to have anything to do with me up until she left for college.
Really?
Yeah. Nothing to do with me.
My oldest brother is 20 years older than I am,
Oh, my God.
Wow.
which is very odd to think because I'm 56, so he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't listen to this. But I have another sister who's roughly 10 years older or younger than him. And my other sister's 5 years older than me. So there was almost two families
Yeah.
that were 10 years apart.
Wow. But
I got to be raised partially by my older sister. And she remembers things different than I do, but she's a pretty good sister.
Yeah.
So that modeled some additional good parenting for me when it came time to parent my own children.
Cool.
She would take the time to explain things,
Yeah.
and it's fun for me to just sit down and do that with my kids.
Yeah. My dad's the youngest of 5, and his oldest sister, I think, is 10 years older than him, maybe 12 or something like that. I don't know. I'll be corrected if they listen to this. And yeah, she doesn't have any kids because she basically spent I think she grew up during the Great Depression and raised her siblings. So she's good. She doesn't want any other kids. She was a mom by the time she was like 13. So yeah, she's good.
Wow.
Do you have, I mean, since it's a dad podcast, do you have any dad advice you want to depart since you're an empty nester now? Anything you want to say to young dads or dads who are in their 20s and 30s listening to this? I know.
that's a good way to end.
Golly.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull from my memory of the good advice that I received. And I remember one of them was the phrase, save your no's,
Okay.
which means say no as little as possible.
Oh, that's so hard.
It is very hard. And try to be a yes dad. Which, when you're tired
Yeah.
and they want to, hey, let's go catch fireflies, and you're like, I just want to drink beer. It's so hard.
Oh man,
But
that hits me right now because that is all Ada says right now is no, and I'm like, she got that from me and probably a little bit of her mom, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad that's like one of her first words is no.
yeah,
It weighs on you.
Yeah.
it does. The other thing I just remembered is to create moments that your kids will remember for the rest of their lives. Now, that's hard to do when you're on a budget, but a couple of things I've done is wake my kids up in the middle of the night to do things crazy.
Okay.
Whether it's a meteor shower, let's go out and
Oh, cool.
look
yeah.
at the meteors, or let's go out and swing. Let me push you on the swing, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's go do that. They're like, "Are you crazy?
What's wrong with you?
And then have a cookie and some milk and go to bed." So those kind of things I want them to remember when they're telling their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe those two things are morsels of
There you go.
Something.
No, I mean, this wasn't as cool as a meteor shower or going to swing with my mom. But my mom, I remember my mom waking me up in the middle of the night to watch Princess Diana's funeral because
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it was
Oh, yeah.
during the morning time.
Yeah.
But I specifically, I did not want to do it, but my mom was like, "You're going to watch it because it's like
Because it's history.
this is history."
Yeah.
So I don't remember how long. I mean, I guess it was like 20 years ago or
In
so.
the 90s. Yeah.
But it's still ingrained in my memory.
yeah.
yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah,
We'll take it.
I'm sure that they still remember that and will remember that.
Oh, one other thing.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power and the joy of an old-fashioned road trip
Okay.
where you take a vacation. Doesn't really matter where, but the journey on the way, stopping at all these rest stops, and hey, there's the largest ball of twine. Let's go see it.
Yep.
Just experience things together is fun. Or I think so many people now will just fly to their destination because they want to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, joy is in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it can be if we make it fun, not miserable.
I'm gonna take that advice.
We're going to spend the whole month of June in Denver, and we're going to drive out there.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the first day one we're going to drive to Kansas City, and we'll stay there, and then we'll do the second leg to go all the way through. And part of me is like, oh, that's going to be a lot of time with 3 small kids in a car. So I hear you. I need to change my attitude.
Just check out St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
The City Museum in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's
It's a
fantastic.
kid's dream.
Yes.
It's an adult's dream.
It is like the coolest. Have you ever been to the City Museum? Oh, it is like
I've been to St. Louis a million times, but never.
It's super cool. I don't know how to. It's like a multi-story kid playground, basically.
Yeah.
They have like welders on site who like build stuff out of metal that are like playground equipment. It's really cool.
A lot of found objects. It's like if you mix a playground with Einstein and Beck,
Yeah.
and like just mash them together and some other cool artist.
They have like a slide that's literally like 5 stories. Like it is multiple. It's like a twirly slide inside. You should look it up.
Okay.
It is way too young for it, but it is like they have like a school bus suspended in the air and stuff. It's a really unique space.
Heck yeah.
And there's like holes in the wall where adults can't fit in, but kids can. And they'll go in and like, where'd they go? And they'll pop out
Yeah.
somewhere else.
What?
So
Yeah, it's
fun.
really cool.
Man, they need to make something like that for adults.
They do.
I know they do weddings there. I think they do weddings there also. So
Some of the things adults can do.
Awesome.
And,
All right.
and it's really scary because some of it's really high.
yes. I think we
So
did it.
3 and up, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We did it
When 8 is
before, whenever we weren't even pregnant with Josh. So it would have been like Thanksgiving of 2019 maybe or something like that. And I remember trying to crawl through stuff and being like, I am not small enough to get through this. Or like just the angles. You're like, I'm not meant to bend this way. So I should get out of here.
Heck yeah. All right. I'm looking forward to it.
But it's a good reminder because it is easy to, I think it's really easy to dread things whenever you don't feel like you can control every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And a road trip, there are a lot of things I can't control that go on with it. And I am trying to anticipate how I would problem solve things that I'm going to come across. And therefore, I'm not open to the journey. I'm just thinking of a list of things that I need to be responsible for.
Yeah. You kind of have to prep your kids with fun games to play as a family, like road games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you certainly don't want them being on their phones or their iPads for days on end. But man, just the laughter and the pictures. And we flew to Vegas, saw a Blue Man Group show.
That's fun.
Rented a car, went to like Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Went to Flagstaff. Flagstaff.
Yeah, flex stuff.
Saw the meteor crater.
Yeah.
Then went to Gallup, and then Williams, where we took a train up to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And then came back and then drove up through Monument Valley, saw dinosaur tracks and Native American Indian, stores, and it was just so fun.
Yeah.
I'll do that again.
What age were your kids whenever you did that?
I would say probably around 16.
Because, I know I'd have fun vacations like that with my wife, but I don't do much problem solving for my wife. I'm not like, all right, so Heather, if you get bored, do I need to have snacks? Do I like, But with like a 7 and 5-year-old, I'm like, okay, cool. I don't want you to watch movies for like 2 days straight.
Yeah.
So how do we do this?
I remember driving from Cincinnati to Carthage because we always drove to see my grandparents. My parents had like the car bingo and all those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, we didn't have cell phones at the time. I had a Game Boy.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to play that the entire time. So we had those type of games like the car bingo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Yep.
But those are things that you could probably
we actually have a couple of
Holly.
them. So
Is that what you're trying to think of ideas?
Yeah, it's like in 3 to 4 weeks. I should probably start putting more mental space towards the reality that we're going to do it.
I wish there was some kind of device that we could just look up, like road trip games.
Interesting. And do it easily. And it's probably already listening to me saying this.
Yes. Gotta start getting ads.
I will. Try this game out. All right, so how we end our episodes is we do like 5 icebreaker questions. So we're going to ask you 5 very hard-hitting, in-depth questions, and we'll see how you score with them. So,
He's lying.
Icebreaker questions?
He is lying.
Is there ice?
Yeah, there is ice. No, it's very hot in this room. What else would we call them? Just questions? I feel like I Googled icebreaker questions and just kind of went off of it. But
but they're not high, like...
No, we just like to, as if we're like have any intensity to our discussions at all.
Are these rapid fire? Like I have to be on my toes? Okay.
No, they're not. No, we alternate. So Justin, once he finds it on his phone.
I found it. So, all right. So you have girl and a boy. Did you have any other names that you were thinking of? Like a second name?
No. If we did, I can't remember because it was so long ago.
Yeah, these might be a little harder for you.
No, we're going to stick to the plan.
Okay.
We're going to ask the same questions.
Okay.
Next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Yes.
Okay.
The dad on Modern Family.
Phil Dunphy?
Phil Dunphy.
Nice.
I kind of aspire to be like that.
What about him? What do you like about him as a dad?
He's funny. He comes across as goofy and dumb, but I think he's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an accurate depiction. This one you're going to have to think a lot about. Least favorite kids show or movie that your kids probably watched like a million times and you're like, oh God, this movie again?
I wasn't big on SpongeBob,
Yeah.
but I don't think that was my least favorite. Oh, the Pokemon thing. The Pokemon.
The Pokemon?
Yeah, just
Just all of it.
Oh, yeah.
crazy colors and flashy.
Yep.
It was a seizure basically for
Yeah.
30 minutes
Yeah.
is what you would watch. Yeah.
Didn't some kids
They
have
did, yes.
seizures
Yeah, there were.
from watching it?
I think it was, yeah, I was going to say the exact episode, but that's a little too nerdy, and I'm sorry for knowing that off the top of my head. So, next question. Whenever your kids were growing up, was there a toy that, like, whenever you think of, like, playing with toys with your kids, can you remember, like, a toy you specifically played with a lot?
I mean, there's blocks. We did a lot of blocks. My son was really into math early on, so he would want to play math. Like,
Play math?
yeah, like,
Calculus was a game to him?
well, it wasn't calculus at that time, but he loved pi. So he would literally memorize like 100 digits of pi.
Oh, my gosh.
So he would go in his room, memorize things, come back out, okay, test me. Okay, 3.1456. It was so, I remember doing that a lot. My daughter just loved to jam, like
Yeah.
music. So we did that a lot together.
That's cool.
Is March 14th your son's favorite day of the year?
That's one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I miss in Berry Hill, there was, you probably might remember it, the Loving Pie Company.
Yeah.
And how they used to do pieces of pie for $3.14 on March 14th.
Yeah.
That was always a good day.
We still do the Blaze Pizza
Do you? Okay, cool.
specials on Pie Day.
That's awesome.
All right. So last question. This one I'm gonna change it up because originally it was, what moment of your kid's life are you most excited to be a part of? But for you, you have so many memories already. What was your favorite moment of your kid's life?
My graduation day is pretty special.
Is it?
Was it?
Yeah, for both of them.
These questions do make you think, kind of, I guess.
I see my daughters play on stage, like with a band, see her having fun. That's just,
Yeah.
I think that's the most joy I've seen in her, just playing on stage.
Yeah.
Something about her face just lights up. Max, my son, my daughter's name's Peyton, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Max is a little more pensive and just loves puzzles. So seeing him do Rubik's Cube tournaments or chess tournaments or
Oh, cool.
anything nerdy like that, he just loves it. Even if he doesn't win, he just loves doing it.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's cute.
There you go. Seeing if you're
Take
paying
that off.
attention.
You're drinking a beer. Come on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yes.
Well,
Cute. Come on.
I say cute a lot. I'm surrounded by girls at all times. Okay.
Dude, that's all right.
It's cute.
Own it. Own
I'm
it.
owning it. Justin. Anyway, Mitch, thanks so much for being on. Do you want to like promote your Instagram or anything? Like if anyone who's listening wants to follow you? No self-promotion.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
If you want to go fishing, just look me up. Let's go
Like,
fishing.
yeah, I'll be like,
Heck
I'll go
yeah.
Or
fish,
go on a
it's fine.
motorcycle trip or something.
There you go. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate you sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
I have
Yeah,
much
thanks,
more.
Mitch.
Just give me some more beer. And I'll-
There you
Okay.
go.
That's your second episode, okay? Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.